045 6060 973.
It's 10 minutes before 8 now. With the possible exception of Israel, the United Kingdom stands out as an absolute success in the way the vaccination programme has been handled, from the British scientists who developed it through to the National Health Service who administered it, the British military who helped it get there, and an army of volunteers who stood out in the rain, the sleet, and I understand even in the snow to make sure. So could it possibly get any better? Well, unbelievably, the government thinks it can. And I'm about to be joined by a man who's going to tell us how. I speak of Vaccines Minister Nadhim Zahawi, who joins me now, and we're about to spend money on a Vaccines Taskforce at Porton Down to achieve even greater success. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Tell me where the money's going, what you hope it will achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Public Health England Porton Down team have been doing an incredible job. They analyse about 700 blood samples every week. We put in about 20 million last year to scale that up to 1,500 blood samples analysed a week. This further, just shy of 30 million, is to take the scale from that 700 all the way up to 3,000 samples
by when?
Every week, by January of next year. Now,
what do you
why
hope
is that
that will achieve? In language that I can understand, you're far more experienced in this field than I, but language that I can get, what does that actually mean, Minister? What does that provide for?
Right. What it will provide for is a capacity that allows us to very rapidly test which vaccine variant, because we've now done lots of deals. We've announced CureVac, we announced with 50 million doses, which is a messenger RNA vaccine, like the Pfizer vaccine, like the Moderna vaccine. It'll allow us to very rapidly analyse which vaccine variant will work against any virus variant that may escape. At the moment, the good news is the current vaccinations are working against the dominant variant in the UK, which is the Kent variant. The Novavax vaccine looks like it will work really well against the South African and the Kent variant. Pfizer's working well against all the dominant variants. Oxford AstraZeneca team are working on a vaccine variant. We're working with them on that. We've got the Scottish vaccine, as I call it, the Valneva vaccine. It's actually a French company, but the manufacturing capabilities in Scotland, which is a whole inactivated virus that will make up the vaccine. Again, we can then shape that to any variant. So what Porton Down will give us is the ability to always stay ahead of the virus. The virus will become desperate to try and survive. How does it do that? It tries to infect those people who are not protected, which is why when you get the invitation, please come forward and get your jab.
I'm there next week for my boost, I assure you, Minister. I shall think of you as I roll up my sleeve.
Phenomenal. So what this is about is future-proofing the vaccination programme. So in future years, we will be able to, like with the flu vaccination programme, move to a sort of endemic state with this virus and do
that leads me on to the front page of one of the newspapers that I would imagine you or your colleagues have had sight of. Over 50s to be offered third jab before winter, COVID booster, with flu vaccine this autumn. That is the projection. Minister, can you tell me, is that a reality?
So the clinical decision has not been made. That will be made by Chris Whitty and his fellow chief medical officers in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. My team's job is twofold. One, we've got to give them as many options as possible in terms of vaccines. So we've got the Novavax vaccine, the Valneva vaccine, the AstraZeneca variant, the Pfizer we've just bought 60 million doses of. And the other job is to make sure the NHS leadership team is ready with a deployment strategy so we can deploy at scale in the autumn if necessary, beginning in September, whenever they tell us that they need to boost the most vulnerable. If you remember, we started vaccinating the most vulnerable on the 8th of December with Pfizer, so the residents of care homes, the over 80s, over 75s, over 70s, and those who are clinically vulnerable, and then 4th of January with AstraZeneca Oxford. When the clinicians say we need to go, I've got to give them the options available to do that. Now, Jonathan Van Tam is conducting what is called a COV boost study to see which booster jab will work best. So if you had AstraZeneca, is it better to boost you with a Pfizer or Novavax or Valneva or another AstraZeneca?
So you can mix and match? Potentially.
So that's separate. So we're doing a mix and match study at the moment.
We don't know for sure yet, I see.
Correct. The COV boost is to look at which booster single dose will give you more protection, the durability of that protection, the antibodies and T cells that you need.
Minister, just on the subject of jabs, and I hope you heard the introduction because I have hailed it as a phenomenal success, something for which everybody involved can be rightly proud. The NHS, the military, and possibly even the odd politician should be quite pleased with themselves as well. But if you look at the numbers from yesterday, Minister, 80,000 odd first jabs, a little under 130 boosters. I know there's always lumps and bumps, but have you got any hurdles to worry about here, Minister?
So that was obviously the bank holiday Monday. So the data is always the day before.
Yeah.
You'll see the data for today. Obviously, I won't preempt the.
Can you and I agree it's going to be healthier figures?
It's going to be healthier figures, and it'll continue to obviously become healthier. We're averaging at the moment. The NHS team is averaging about 10 million doses a month.
Incredible.
9 out of 10 45-year-olds have had the protection of one dose now. So we will continue. Really, the limitation is the vaccine supply. Yeah. That is the limiting factor. We can deploy. We got to 27 jabs a second was our record.
Right. Just on the subject, Novavax is, I believe, under review right now. I think you are part of the trialling system or process. Is there any update when we know whether this can be released, Minister?
I was part of the trial. I was obviously then, when I had my invitation to get my jab, I got the Oxford AstraZeneca jab. You are released from the trial and you are told what you've had. And they gave me a placebo at the time. But I was one of the trial. You're absolutely right.
It's because you're so healthy. It's because you're so healthy. You're such a picture of health.
I'm grateful to you. Yeah. Well, I still took my AstraZeneca Oxford jab when I was invited. My first dose. I'm waiting for my second dose. But Novavax is with the regulators, the independent regulator, the MHRA, are reviewing the data.
How long will that take?
It is looking good in the sense that it works against both the current dominant virus, which is the Kent virus, and the South African virus. And it will be manufactured in Teesside. It'll be filled and finished at Barnard Castle. So it is.
But when might it be green lit?
It's up to the regulator. Obviously, they're independent of. I can't.
You can't send an email saying, "Come on, chaps and chapesses, let's get moving." You have to
into a whole load of hot water.
I don't government. All right, okay. Let me ask you a couple of final points. You will be aware it was hopefully a day of reprieve for some people in care homes yesterday, and that they were able to be visited and even perhaps taken to a garden or for a walk or whatever. But you may not be aware that sadly a lot of care homes are saying they don't have the facility, they don't have the staff, they have concerns over insurance, the whole thing. Currently it's advisory from the government. Should it be mandatory, do you think, Minister?
Well, I think my message to care homes is, and they've been, on the whole, really brilliant at working with us, with the social care minister, Helen Whately, is, we want people to have the best possible outcome. The residents of care homes were prioritised for the vaccination programme. This is the time to try and implement this. I would much rather.
But they're running up against a brick wall or a bolted door, of course, Minister.
Well, Helen is working very hard to make sure that we engage with them. I've been part of conducting a big telephone exercise with the care home managers to make sure we understand how we can increase the uptake of the vaccine amongst staff as well. And they've been very proactive in working with us on that. And my message to them is, please, where you can, work with us to make sure those residents really do get the sort of the freedoms they deserve.
But you can understand the frustration from some of my listeners. They're desperate to see Grandad or whoever it might be.
Totally.
And the care home, possibly for all the right reasons, is saying no. I'm just wondering whether we can put a little more effort into this, Minister.
Well, I can assure you that Helen is absolutely focused on this,
right,
because we all know in the department, because we live it every day throughout this pandemic, how important it is that those families are able to visit, that they get all the positive outcomes of this incredible vaccination program. I'm not going to repeat all the stuff you said at the beginning, but it is that the nation coming together. It's that if the virus challenged liberal democracies, because the only way we could suppress it is to withdraw freedoms with the non-pharmaceutical intervention, the dreaded NPIs, the vaccine program has played to the DNA of the peoples of these isles, because we're good at organising And it is those Dunkirk spirit, those thousands of flotillas
Absolutely.
coming together. The volunteers are military, the NHS family, doctors, nurses, GPs, pharmacists. Incredible,
It is.
absolutely incredible. I'm so proud. I sometimes, if I feel like an imposter, I stand on the shoulders of the real heroes.
Well, you've not done
of this
badly
deployment.
yourself. I mean, if we search long and hard
It's been
enough,
a
we might be able to give
privilege.
you
It's
the
been
odd
a-
plaudit.
It's been a privilege. This country's given my family everything. We fled Saddam Hussein back in 1978, and to have been afforded this opportunity by the Prime Minister to do this, I get quite emotional about this sometimes. But just to put something back to
I think
a
you
country
put more than
that's given me
something
and my
back.
family
I think
everything
you've put quite a lot
is a
back, Mr.
privilege.
Zahawi. Lastly, you served as Children's Minister. You may be aware of a joint letter from trades unions to your colleague Gavin Williamson, just to remind everybody, he's the Education Secretary, saying that face masks, or screens, or whatever it should be, should stay with pupils until at least June the 21st. Do you agree?
So face masks for secondary school pupils are
Yes.
staying. That's really important. There is a review as part of the work that the Cabinet Office is conducting into, obviously, social distancing, which will report before the 21st of June. And they're doing some really important evidence analysis on this. But I think it's the right thing to do to follow the evidence on this.
All right, always good speaking to you. Thank you for your time, Minister. Nadhim Zahawi, Vaccines Minister, appearing here on LBC, where at 2 minutes after 8, news is next with Simon Conway.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 8 o'clock, ministers say a new investment in testing facilities will future-proof the UK against new variants of COVID-19. The Porton Down site is to be expanded so scientists can fast-track their analysis of the effectiveness of vaccines. Our reporter Emma Corr is at the site in Wiltshire.
The government is investing £29 million into the site here to double the capacity for testing variant blood samples. Vaccines are then trialled on those to measure the levels of antibodies produced, the immune response